I guess I can see everyone. So let's start. Gentlemen, welcome to this panel discussion. I have with me Mr. Yahya Khan, who is the Chief Digital Officer of Bank Al Falah, Mr. Javed Eidi, Group Head IT and Digital Banking, Silk Bank, Mr. Omar Moin Malik, Head of Digital Wallets at Telenor Microfinance Bank, and Mr. Dato Arif Siddiqui is the Chief Digital Officer at Faisal Bank Limited. The format of this panel discussion will be that each participant will have a couple of minutes to make an opening statement. You can choose a topic of your choice, and from there onwards, we will go into a discussion amongst the different panel members, and afterwards, we will open the floor to Q&A. So I'll start with Yahya. Do you want to go first?
Right, thank you. So I think I'll just stay with the topic, and the topic is very relevant in the current environment where the digital payments and a lot of hard work has been put in by both banks and the fintech players in accelerating the digital payments over the number of years. And uski importance we also had gone manifold during the COVID environment also. So I think now the question for banks and fintech players is how to make money from digital payments. And the topic I think is very relevant, whether banks and fintech players should look at digital payments as the means to making money itself. Are they tools to cross-sell other banking products and then make money through that? So I look forward to those discussions.
Great, thank you. Mr. Javed Eidi, sir.
Ji, thank you very much, first of all, for inviting me on the elite panel and see a very senior and a very experienced and what you can say, proven professionals, especially in the field of the digital, are sitting here. मेरा सिर्फ एक ही मैं समझूंगा मैं इस चीज़ को आगे अगर लेके चलना चाहूँ कि we need to decipher the relation between the merchant and the banks because हम fintech और बैंकिंग को तो कोलैबोरेटिव एफर्ट्स तक ले आए हैं लेकिन what we need is now to create the trust of a merchant towards this payment mechanism, whether it is a QR, point of sale, mobile to mobile or whatsoever, जिसमें acquiring भी आ जाती है और आपका MDR भी involve हो जाता है and FBR भी involve हो जाती है because of the taxation and the withholding tax and general sales tax. उस confidence को हमें एक bridge करने की ज़रूरत है. Then we can start making money. That's my belief is. So we would like to see something what you can say happening in between fintech and bank, which is happening very well. But now the handshake with the retailer in a trust form where they can easily select anyone or many and can start doing the business with them without any fear. So this is my
Okay, so you said that we have sort of identified the relationship between the fintechs and the banking industry or the financial institutions. The next nut to crack is how do we decipher the relationship between the merchants and the financial institutions. So you will want to spend some time on that issue. Great. We move forward with Omar. Hi.
Ji, Assalamu alaikum. So I think this is, I think digital payments, again, is a topic that we've been discussing for many years now. But I think in the last 1 year, हम सिर्फ पिछले 1 साल को देखें, तो there have been plenty of changes. Of course, Yahya mentioned COVID, and COVID was a time period where we saw a big surge in digital payments happening in the industry. I think COVID also served as a very important um, kind of wake up call for both customers and merchants. Um, and a lot of the merchants we are aware of now actually realize the importance of collecting digital payments as opposed to cash. So cash is the most predominant mechanism in the industry. और वही तो enemy है हमारा, उसी को तो हमने break करना है. So COVID helped a lot over there. एक awareness आ गई कि जी digital payments ज़रूरी हैं और अगर आपको अपना business चालू रखना है तो आपको digital payments की तरफ जाना है. Other than that, I think in the last 1 year, we have seen a lot of positive movements from the regulation side also. So we have like the digital merchant onboarding regulation that's come out. The central bank has currently drafted an IBAN QR की regulation जो अभी इस पे discussions चल रही हैं. So I think from the regulatory point of view, there are positive moves that have been made also. And then from certain policymakers on the government level, for example, in Punjab, we saw that the GST for digital payments was lowered at certain merchants. We believe similar things are happening in Sindh and other places as well. So we believe that all the players in the value chain are coming together and putting in their efforts to move away from cash towards digital payments, because Pakistan is again way behind the rest of the world. We are too dependent on cash. Everything is happening on cash, and when we have our discussions over here, हमें उस angle से देखना है, how do we move away from cash? So I think this is a very very important time, and the discussions that we have now are very important for shaping up on what's going to happen in the coming years.
Great, thank you, Wayne. So I move on to the next participant, Dato Arif Siddiqui. Can please say a few words?
Thank you very much having me here. I'm watching sort of Pakistan since last 1 year, in fact. I spent most of the time outside Pakistan, 18 years. And very happy to see that what is happening at this point of time here in Pakistan. And COVID, definitely, I can see the significantly given chance to the people to try some of the payment things which bank has actually initiated, but never the people used it before. So it's a huge opportunity for Pakistan for the COVID. I can see somewhere around a jump of around 8 to 10% during that period. Whether we can be able to sustain it or not, I'm not sure. But as I'm hearing here, that Pakistan is far behind on a kind of digital payment, which is true. Where I'm coming from, Malaysia, Singapore, and Hong Kong area, where really cash on delivery is just at 10%. So it's a reverse side of the coin in a sense that 80 to 90% here is the cash on delivery, and over there it is only the 10%. So a lot over there is being used other technology like a QR code is working very well over there after China to this Asia Pacific. So I think it's a great to have a discussion here that what we can be able to do this in Pakistan.
Shukriya, Arif. Thank you so much. So I think that a couple of common themes and issues that have emerged from these opening statements are that there has been sort of a big bang in the shape of COVID. Definitely, it has offered certain opportunities for us to lift our game, and there has been a marked change in consumer behavior as well. But having said that, we still remain a very largely cash-dominated economy, an undocumented economy, and there is definitely an element of exclusion, digital exclusion, if I may say that, because a major part of our population doesn't have access to the 3G, 4G networks or the kind of devices that are required to really take this revolution into the next stage. So different stakeholders that we discussed in this first round obviously included the financial institutions, the fintechs, regulators, and at the same time, obviously the consumers and the merchants who all need to play their part in order to ensure that this platform and its adaptability goes up. So coming back to Yaya, as we started a discussion with you, and you mentioned that monetizing these platforms, it remains a challenge. And I would tend to agree with you there that we have yet to discover that magic formula. But when we look at globally also, we find that even very well-established tech companies and firms, have yet to actually make money and break even. They are still consuming cash. So why are we in a rush in Pakistan to monetize this digital platform? Why can't we wait for a couple of more years and ensure that the platform remains cheap, adaptable, and available, so that we have more and more consumers on board, and then maybe afterwards we can think about monetizing it. So, what do you say about that?
Gee, can you hear me okay?
Yaya, are you with us?
Yeah, can you
I'm
hear
sorry,
me?
did you catch my question?
Caught your
Yeah, I can hear
question.
you.
So, okay. So, absolutely. देखें, globally, what you pointed out, payments as a means to doing a purchase is always made as frictionless as possible. एंड फ्रिक्शनलेस में दो चीज़ें होती हैं, एक यूज़र एक्सपीरियंस फ्रिक्शनलेस एंड दूसरा उसकी प्राइस frictionless for the consumer, so that consumers are onboarded onto a digital platform, because the world over the fight is against cash. So once they're onboarded, then it is seen कि अब उनसे पैसे कैसे बनाने. हमने unfortunately in this country, and I think if you look at the cards industry here, डेकेड से हमने कार्ड्स की इंडस्ट्री को, एक्वायरिंग को अलग रखा हुआ है, इशूइंग को अलग रखा हुआ है. एक्वायरिंग की वायबिलिटी हम देखते हैं खाली उनकी एमडीआर इनकम के ऊपर, जो कि एवरेज 1.55-1.6% के ऊपर मार्केट में ऑपरेट करती है. अब उसके अंदर उन्होंने पॉस्ट भी लगानी है, सब कुछ लगानी है, पॉजिटिव पीएनएल भी जनरेट करनी है. हमने कभी भी इस इंडस्ट्री को एज एन एक्विजिशन ऑफ द कस्टमर्स नहीं देखा. अच्छा, इशूइंग अलग रखा हुआ है, वो इशूइंग की फ़ी डेबिट कार्ड इशूएंस से कमाई जाती है. उसके बाद हमने जो फाइनेंसिंग है मर्चेंट की या कंज्यूमर की, उसको बिल्कुल अलग रखा हुआ है. सो इफ़ेक्टिवली वी आर नॉट यूजिंग payments as an acquisition tool at all, at least for the conventional business. I think the opportunity that we all have here is we should keep this payments transactions frictionless for consumers. So consumers should never be charged. All of you must have experienced the surge of emotions that take place when says to you, sir, इसमें 2% extra charge करूँगा क्योंकि आप कार्ड से पेमेंट कर रहे हैं, right? And half of the people at that point of time, if they can go to and withdraw the cash from ATM machine, say अच्छा ठीक है ना charge करो, I'll go and withdraw the cash and pay you in cash. So first of all, that should not be passed on. Merchants, on the other hand, should also not be paying 1.55 or 1.6%, which is why I think the NFC and the QR had a huge promise when it first came in. It was operating at much less, and in some cases zero MDRs when a payment is made, even for the merchant. The world over, it's a few basis points the merchant pays, और उसकी justification जो होती है कि merchant की क्योंकि product बिक रही होती है, so he's okay to pay 7, 8, 9, 10 basis points on that, not 150, 160 basis points. And the trick that I think, and I know that some of the digital leaders here subscribe to that view, that the trick is that we acquire those customers. On the basis of that, we lend to the merchants, जो हमने merchants जिनकी digital payments हो रही हैं on a certain loan to value We lend to the consumers because we now have the payments behavior there. Take money from the merchants float, and in some cases from the customers float. So what I've said in so many words is that I don't see digital payments to be an MDR game at all. It should not be an MDR game. It should be viewed as acquiring customers, as you also said the world over, the practices, using their payments behavior to cross sell other products such as merchant and consumer financing and merchant and consumer floats.
Okay. And this financing should be done within the same ecosystem, or you can have, again, partnerships that can help you achieve that and provide us a different sort of vertical to the customer.
Absolutely. You can have partnerships. I mean, fintech players either don't have a banking or don't have a lending license if they're not an NBFI or have a license from the central bank. Or often they may have all of it but may not have a balance sheet. So the payments players, such as fintechs in this example, can get all of that data, can make some money of their own by selling value added reporting to the merchant. Very important. I missed out on the first part because they are providing a platform and they can provide the kind of reporting which is merchants like you also do this reporting. So they can make money out of it. And then for balance sheet products, they can partner with a bank.
Absolutely, absolutely. Becomes a win-win for everybody in this scenario. Thank you, Yaya. Moving on, Javed Saab, your opening statement mentioned deciphering the relationship between merchants and the financial institutions. So, why is this becoming a sort of a tough nut to crack? I mean, in our part of the world, we see, because of our addiction to cash and because a large part of our economy is also undocumented, बहुत सारी considerations आ जाती हैं, taxation and similar issues where which makes merchants less enthusiastic about adopting these digital modes. How do we overcome this challenge? How can we entice merchants to adopt this?
Actually, I have done a complete research on this area when I was establishing a DigiSilk wallet platform, and we were very much gung-ho to come up with the QR network, and for the acquiring part, maybe starting closed loop, then we can plug in other banks and fintech player, which is very very easy when it comes to the local acquiring. So the model was ready. We tried it out with a few merchants, with our alliances. We come to know two things which are their main issue. First of all, they are afraid of talking with the bank because of large numbers of paperworks involved, and most of the time when you go for a merchant account is not dependent on the CNIC of the person, but on the company paper, utility bill, and all these things. For example, my wife went to the shop and purchased certain thing, and all of a sudden, when I received the SMS, it was of some A-end company private limited. Then I realized, okay, what is this? And it was one of the leading brand of shoes and the purse operating out of the best mall in Karachi, and I received the point of sale merchant name XYZ Private Limited. So people are afraid of exposing these things, and it's difficult to open the merchant accounts also. Number one. Number two, there is a religious factor also. The small second tier, third tier mom and pop shops and the Karyana stores, they have the issue of banking account. Most of them, they don't believe in banking account. They believe in Islamic banking account. So this is another challenge to crack. The third one is, again, if we go and do the documented, then the money will come into our account. Then we have to write the check, which is a difficult part. We have to get it in a form of a pay order, which was initially. Now you can get it online. They are not interested in using the online app. They just need the money and at the comfort of their business, because they are doing the business. So their focus is business, and very rightly, because they have very a few hours to do the business, and they are not here to do the, what you can say, deciphering the relation with the banks and FBR and other sales tax regimes and all these things. So I think regulators have done a wonderful job by coming up with the digital merchant account, where they don't need anything except what you can say CNIC and the biometric verified. But we also need to get confidence by the revenue collecting agencies to them in writing, like a tax holiday for next 5 years for no question asked, nothing. You have this much ceiling, then you will never ever be asked for life. Up to this amount, you can do the transactions. So this is still not inculcated into the merchants, and they are not aware of this. This is my belief. But Omar and Yaya, they are deeply entrenched in these business. They can put more light on it. These are the three things which I felt and I come across.
No, thank you so much. We'll definitely ask this question from Omar and Yaya. But you also mentioned about developing an ecosystem of QR payments, and why have QR payments not taken off in our market, if I may ask you? I mean, we have competing platforms. You have the traditional POS machines. Then we have QR codes, and then we have the NFC channel also, which is hardly utilized in our country, although globally it's becoming quite popular. So within these platforms, the POS still rules. QR, although now we see them here and there, but they have not taken off. Why do you think that's what's the reason?
Two issues. We have issued QR code through a payment scheme under its infancy stage, when we were not able to decipher, what you can say, address the single message transaction issues, the reversals, void, sale, purchase issues, which now they are working on it, and they have come up with this. So initially, if the money is gone and I'm not giving you the, what you can say, the commodity, what you will do? You have no way to claim. Your money is gone. The confidence of the merchant and confidence of the end user both is shattered, especially in the QR case. Until unless he is working with a bank, using a bank's terminal, a bank's app, a bank's QR, then he is confident I can talk with them, and he has a relation with that bank. If somebody walks in and opens the Easy Paisa account or a Finca account, because I know I've discussed a lot of times with the Kasif on these issues, that relationship we made digitally, and our relationships were very fragile and are very limited, because we don't have the right user cases. But when it comes to the transaction dispute handling, they don't have any clue. Even most of the educated people don't have any clue what to do if my transaction is what you can say disputed. From where I'll get the charge back? What will happen? Who is responsible for what? So these are the challenges which needs to be addressed. In a pause, we have gone through the phase of understanding. I was the one who started ATM in MCB. When we used to put the ATM in MCB in 90s, the people used to say, no, we don't want ATM card because our money is safe in the bank. But within 3 years' time, we have seen the change in paradigm shift total, because people understand that to carry the cash from point A to point B is an hassle during on the salary day, and keeping it under the, what you can say, the mattress, and at the time of the payment you have to go another next time to the bank. So once the confidence is there, now people even don't care about the receipt. They just take the money, and the receipt is almost dangling over there. If you can see, most of the time, the dustbin, ATM, vestibules have become a dustbin of the, what you can say, slips, and mostly didn't touch by the customers. So these are the level of confidence which we have to bring in for the QR. POS, I know, POS is a physical device sitting over there. Some merchant is sitting there. I can come back and say, okay, you have used my card on this. In QR, something I am doing, something you are doing, khali wali. So उसके लिए बड़ा कॉन्फिडेंस चाहिए उस चीज को करने के लिए, जो मेरा है, और उसमें आपको एतमाद भी होता है कि आपकी सब डबल होती है ट्रांजैक्शन, सिंगल पास नहीं होती है, SMS नहीं है, people will go into it. बट उसके लिए जो काम कर रहे हैं जैसे इजी पैसा और अल्फा एंड द टीम एंड जैज दे एंड यू फिनका, आई थिंक आप तो अब किसी और उसमें ज्यादा इन्वॉल्व हो गए, लेकिन दीज थ्री प्लेयर आर द मेजर प्लेयर एंड दे आर डूइंग अ फिनोमिनल जॉब इन क्रिएटिंग द मार्केट. But these are the right people to answer my questions from the consider me as a customer, and I have to hear from the experts who are already facing these challenges.
No, thank you, Javed. So Phil, let's move on to Umar. Then this challenge of encouraging merchants who still prefer cash. And Umar ne, I think opening up the statement में कहा था कि our fight is with cash. So what should be done, or what can we do to bring merchants over to the digital payment mode? What policy changes, behavioral changes, or inducements, sweeteners do we need to give to ensure that this process continues? And we have seen the progress being made during the past 6-7 months, and it happened out of compulsion, it happened out of a need, and hopefully we should be able to carry forward this momentum. So, Umar, any words to say about this?
Thank you, Ji. So it's a very pertinent question, and I think यही वो magic question है जिसको हम लोग सब answer करने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं for many years. Unfortunately, I think the responsibility doesn't lie with one player or one industry only. Multiple stakeholders in the value chain have to come together if you really want to move away from cash and towards digital payments. So आज क्यों नहीं करते हैं? देखिए मैं आपको एग्जांपल देता हूँ. If I walk into Al Fateh also or any other big store जहाँ पे आपकी कार्ड मशीन्स पड़ी हुई होती हैं, so the merchant, even if I have a card today, the merchant doesn't prefer digital payments. So he's okay with cash, he's okay with digital payments. वहाँ से कोई उनकी preference नहीं है. For the customer also, if I have cash in my wallet, and that's a big if now, especially after COVID and everything. If I have cash in my wallet, I'll pay with cash. If I don't have cash, I'll pay with card. So customer के लिए भी कोई preference नहीं है, कोई incentive नहीं है कि मैं A prefer करूँ या B prefer करूँ. Merchants जहाँ पे POS machines लगी है, वहाँ वो merchants का total तादाद जो है वो है ही कम. So जहाँ पे हम कहते हैं जी 2 million, 3 million हमारे fixed structure merchants and we only have 25,000 POS machines out there in the market. Look at our neighbor Iran. The number of POS machines that they've deployed is I think 2.5 million plus. That's probably more than what the merchants that we have in Pakistan. So हमें multiple angles पे काम करना है जी. Taxation is a big issue. One of the main reasons why merchants don't want to move towards digital payments. Documentation हो जाएगी, फिर taxation होना शुरू हो जाएगी, etc., etc. So Javed Saab mentioned that that's a real fear factor that we have to overcome and address. The policy makers and the central bank, they have to really sit down and crack that one out. On the regulation side, sure, we have some way forward in terms of merchant onboarding, digital merchant onboarding for individual and sole proprietors. But what about अगर मैं आज अल फतेह स्टोर को ऑनबोर्ड करना चाहता हूँ, एक मैकडॉनल्ड्स को करना चाहता हूँ, तो वो जो onboarding का पूरा process है, and not just my bank but all the other banks and all the वो process इतना lengthy है, इतना time consuming है, that merchants just really don't want to go down that path also. And you can compare this to say the online sites like PayPal or Payoneer, where a merchant can go and with a simple few clicks they get an account open and they can start collecting payments. So I think हमने अपना उसको tiered KYC में हमने उसको नहीं लेके गए में merchant onboarding को. हम लोग उसका एक झटका तरीका एक रेगुलेशन है और उसको पूरे इंडस्ट्री फॉलो कर रही है. And if you want to come on board, regardless if you only want to collect 10 rupees of payments, you have to go through a very, very extensive list of documentation that you have to provide. So ये challenges हैं. I think ये हमें ठीक करने वाले हैं. I think Javed साहब ने QR की बात की and the fact that we are too reliant on maybe international payment scheme QRs, और उन्होंने rightly mention किया the QR as a payment transaction instrument is maybe not at par with, say, POS machines or other advanced payment instruments. But that is where we are stuck also, kind of, you know. So international payment schemes the QR एक तो वो business sense नहीं बनता. I would love to have, you know, my colleagues from other banks look at the overall business case on QR payments. But for Easy Pesa, for example, when we are working with MasterPass QR, it's a loss proposition for us. Secondly, उनने जिस तरह merchant acquisition की है, that was probably not the right approach, because you have to actually do it very gradually, keeping in mind where your customers are. आपका सवाल था QR के ऊपर transactions क्यों नहीं होती हैं? मेरा सवाल ये है कि टोटल इंडस्ट्री में कितने लोग हैं जिनके पास एक स्मार्टफोन है, जिसके ऊपर हमने एक ऐप लगाया हुआ है जो QR से पेमेंट कर सकता है. जब वो नंबर ही कोई तकरीबन 4 मिलियन है या 5 मिलियन है पूरे पाकिस्तान में. So I think it's evident to us कि यार chicken and egg में सबसे पहली चीज पे focus करना चाहिए. Because when you go and onboard merchants and no customers are coming in over there to make payments, so merchant ने eventually QR code उठा के दराज में डाल देना है. He's not going to use that as a payment instrument. So I think these are the issues and challenges that we all need to solve.
Thank you, Umar. Thank you for elaborating this. And आपने फिर जो merchant onboarding और की बात की और the difficulties और जो cumbersome process बताया. I mean, on the other side, you know, digital account opening is for consumers is also quite challenging. हालांकि अब with the changes happening, especially जो Roshan Pakistan account है for expats, the government has broken through a lot of barriers here. The government and the central bank, and as well as the banking sector. So, how could we leverage on that experience? And I would like to ask this from Dr. Arif Siddiqui Saab. He represents a large bank here. That how can the banks create an easy digital account opening experience for consumers? ये हम barrier कैसे break कर सकते हैं on the consumer side?
So, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Hello.
Gigi Arif Saab, please go ahead.
So that is the 21% of the total adults are having it. So the most important thing, even the payments comes later. Before that for financial industry, I'm talking about only. It is very important that we should encourage people to open an account. Some of the bank did well, in fact, and some are not. But the most important thing, how we can be able to give a very seamless experience to the customer for account opening, or I can say call it digital account opening. I think something recently happened which I see a very significant impact can play this called non-resident Pakistani digital account. A state bank came up with the first time that without coming to the branch, this is possible that someone can be able to open an account. Now, my view is that looking into the Asan account and others, if we can be able to make little bit more easier for the customer that they can be able to digitally open the account, probably this will increase more people to open account. That is the first thing. You know that in Pakistan, cash is the king, and the people are doing more transaction through the cash, and some are even the bank. So it is role of the bank also, I feel, that to create easiness for the customer, educate customer and train customer how they can be able to open account and create something like see, bank always looks to the margin. My view is that people who are coming with the less deposit, they should start thinking about, and I can see in Pakistan, and very encouraging.
Sorry, Arif Saab, but we've lost you. I can't hear you. Arif Saab, can you hear me? Is anyone else on the panel able to hear Arif Saab?
I
No,
can
I'm
hear
not
you
able to hear him
clearly.
either.
No, no. I think he probably lost connection or. Arif Saab, we'll keep trying you. अगर आप दोबारा connect हो जाते हैं, so we'll just pick it up from there. Hello, Arif Saab, are you back? Okay, I'll just move on with the next question. We don't have much time actually. We are running a little late, and
Yeah,
we
I
need to
came
wrap up.
back.
Oh, you came back. Please finish your answer. Sorry, we lost you there. Yeah, Arif Saab, please
I
continue.
think you can keep going because my network is not supporting me. So you can keep going if you are not hearing me, or you can continue with the others, in fact.
No, you are fine now. You are fine now. Please, if you can finish your answer.
Yeah, so in fact, I know some of the people here, and they are from the financial industry. I'm a big fan of that how we can be able to create a digital financial inclusion in the country. And I'm coming from a countries where the financial inclusion is somewhere above 90%, and over there the payment is a big success. And of course, by doing that, I saw huge successes on a fintech as well. And as we were talking about the profitability, like Grab is the one of the case, a huge success in that market. Even the Lazada is doing now very well. So it is all about that how many people are using digital media to for the payment. And until unless the banks are not coming up and giving a lot of easy way to open account, and the financial inclusion is not happening, digital financial inclusion and thereafter the payment will not grow in Pakistan. So I always say that in Pakistan, my take up is that how we can make the easy onboarding for the customers.
Shukriya, Arif Saab. Thank you so much. So before we conclude, just one quick question, and I would like all participants to just share their views on this one. Couple of sentences each. One element that we have also talked about is the trust between different parties and from consumers as well as merchants. People are not satisfied, comfortable in using online transaction methods. There's a fear of hacking and data security risk, and there have been incidences also. How can we get this trust from the customer as well as from the merchants into this digital game? So very quickly, I know, what's your view, Yaya? If we start from you, how can this trust be established between different stakeholders and players, including government and tax collecting agencies, in this for quick adoption of digital platform? So trust issues between different stakeholders, how can those be addressed? If you have any comments on those, yeah.
Trust follows need. If there is no need, nobody wants to use it, forget about trust, right? So trust comes after the need has been established. We have seen, relatively speaking, a greater conversion of transactions for online payments for a $3 billion industry. 10-12% of those transactions have been moved to prepayments versus a $125 billion industry, which is a retail industry, जिसमें अभी we have spent the last half an hour debating कि QR की uptake नहीं हो रही. So first there has to be need, then people would think about वो need है तो अब trust को देख लें. For trust, all stakeholders have to come together to establish this. Obviously, central banks do their bit, banks do their bits. What we haven't talked much about lately is the importance of telcos in establishing this trust. Reflect on it. All our financial services industry works on and validates on the SIM. Your OTPs go on SIM for conducting a financial transaction. Your transaction confirmations go on the SIM. So this one industry, I think we need to include within the fold of the financial services to improve trust.
No, that's an excellent thought. Thank you so much. Javed?
Actually, Yaya have summarized very well, and I think we all are on the same page. I have just ignited the thing which is in that the initial stage, and I'm glad I'm on the right track. Now it's a top-down approach. Need is the mother of all invention. Need must be there. If we can create the need, for example, electricity bill, or sorry, utility bills, you can see the need was there, and now it's mushrooming. Then 12 utility bill payment companies mushrooming across the country and collecting the bills on behalf of them. And now it will become a convergence, and then it will become a elasticity, and then the price and the service dynamics will start playing the role. So we might end up India model. We might end up paying to the people whose bill are being on my app or their app. This will reverse. The game will reverse. So need is important first. And once the need is there, then there is a need of a top-down approach. The regulators, telcos, banks, and revenue collection agencies, income tax, they have to be on the same page, coming up with a proper, what you can say, legal document for everyone in terms of the protection, so that nobody can be bothered and everybody can be on the same page with a proper media campaign.
Right. That's good. Yes. And Umar, any final words from you?
I think Yaya and Javed Saab summed it up very well, Ji. I mean, what they're calling need, I would probably refer to as value, because आपके customers और आपके merchants आपकी service नहीं इस्तेमाल करेंगे जब तक उनको value नजर नहीं आ रही होगी. और अगर उनको value नजर आ रही है तो फिर वो लीड करेगा और ट्रस्ट बिल्ड वहीं पे होगा यार over time when they start doing transactions again and again. But I totally agree with Javed Saab when he said that we have a lot of other areas. Policymakers need to work on a lot of other areas to encourage payments also. आज ऑनलाइन पेमेंट्स के ऊपर भी आया ने बिल्कुल बात की कि यार ऑफ कोर्स दे आर ग्रोइंग, बट वन ऑफ द मेजर इश्यूज ओवर हियर इन ऑनलाइन एनी ऑनलाइन ट्रांजैक्शन इज कि कस्टमर कंप्लेंट रिड्रेसल मैकेनिज्म्स कुछ भी नहीं है. So we if you have a problem with the bank, you can go to the banking muhtasib. You have a problem with the telcos, you go to the PTA and log your complaint over there. If I buy something from Daraz and I get a broken product, who do I complain to? So to build trust, there are other elements that policymakers need to start working on and focusing towards also. आपके customer grievances को कैसे resolve करना है, complaints और disputes को कैसे resolve करना है, who is authorized to have digital payments and who is not. In the Dubai जैसे शहर के अंदर, you can't just go and put up an e-commerce store overnight. You actually have to apply to the government, and the government will take a week or 2 weeks to actually go through your documentation and then approve कि हाँ यार you are now a legit entity to accept online payments. I think there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this front to build trust on the customer side and on the merchant side as well.
Thank you, Umar. No, definitely. And Dato Arif, your views on this issue? I think he's again having some connectivity problems. So nevertheless, let's. I just want to wrap it up because we are running short of time. Thank you so much, everybody, for joining for this panel session today. Yahya, Javed, Umar, Tato Arif, thanks a lot for joining in on all our audience and participants who joined us virtually today. Thank you so much for sharing your views, gentlemen. And I'm signing off from this panel discussion and back to Total Communications. Over to you. Thank you so much. Dafis.